Good morning, guys. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm shadow banned, so I'm still doing everything I can to try to break that shadow ban, see if it's even possible. Probably not, but yeah, might as well give it a good old college try. And as I've said in many of my previous videos, if nothing else, these videos stand as posterity proving that I exist, and if I can speak any truths in them whatsoever, they should stand the test of time. Fingers crossed. Certainly hope so. So I was talking a little bit about gray aliens yesterday with my friend Josh, and the idea of who and what they are, what their intent is, and how they relate to us, and why we haven't seen anything from them. So, probabilistically, it makes no sense, or it's starting to make no sense, that we haven't seen any signals from otherworldly beings yet. And I think part of that is that we have seen them, we just haven't recognized them as what they are. And the reason for that is because usually it's subtle. It's not just that they are beings that might be from another planet or are on another planet as we speak, but also they could be on Earth with us right now and not even be recognizable as an otherworldly being, because they look and act just like us, because they were in fact born just like us, through a version of quantum entanglement that allows their conscious energy, their souls, if you will, to enter into a human body before they are born, before the human body is developed in the womb, and they are themselves living as human beings with our experiences, but with their background. So their background leads to an altered reaction to the lives and the experiences that they have while they're here. And the better they react, which is pretty much the primary thing that we want to mold properly while we're here on Earth, is far more advanced and evolved than the way we react. It's not because we're stupid, it's not because we are absolutely unforgivably horrible, it's just because we're young, we are babies celestially, and we need to go through a quote-unquote celestial metamorphosis. But when it comes to the quote-unquote gray aliens, it's never a good idea to whole cloth eschew any particular cohort of individuals, whether it be a species, a religion, a race, or what have you, any way that you can demographically separate a specific cohort. It's never a good idea to just throw them all in the trash specifically because they are that cohort. That's just not, it's not smart. That's speciesism, racism, all that not so fun stuff, rather unsavory. But by and large, it does look like there are a lot of gray aliens, quote unquote, as we would call them, that have a rather high disdain for us, a distaste for human beings, because they see us as primitive, as stupid, as beholden to superstition, even though those gray aliens, as we would call them, I keep on saying that because that's not what they actually are actually our descendants. So, I said this before, I'll say it again. Anytime that a gray alien is questioned on their origins or their purpose for being here, it's usually to document their own history, and they say that they are our descendants, particularly about 5,000 years into the future. So they represent a divergence in paths for us, the two worlds, if you will. We are always at a certain convergence of consensus in the world we live in. The world in which we live is basically the converged consensus of all the conscious energies of individuals living on the planet at that time. And there are those who don't even have any conscious energy to focus reality into some type of coherence. Those chaotic creatures are without soul. But whatever path is created from those non-chaotic creatures that are the signal and the noise, that are the pattern, the conscious energy, they're the ones that lead to those differentiated paths that actually exist in the future. Now, some of those paths, in fact, almost all of those paths, aside from perhaps one, end up eventually leading to entropy themselves. They're a dead end. It's because the universe, it ends. If you believe what Stephen Hawking wrote about in his scientific works, that even Google years in the future, which is 10 to the 100th years in the future, however long a span of time that is, doesn't matter how large the number is. Compared to infinity, it is still negligible. So what I mean by that is, it might be Google years in the future, but the universe still does end. It results in a maximum entropy where energy cannot become more disordered. And any blip of order that we get in the interim, if it is stuck in this reference frame that is one bound by time, then we never break free, and we will ultimately, become entropy ourselves. So if it happens once, it happens always, because all events are happening simultaneously in nonlinear time. So in order to actually have a discernible future that matters, you have to break free from time. In other words, become eternal. There's only one path that does that, and that's obviously going with God. And that is principally, I would say, why we see no otherworldly beings right now. Because if we don't break free at this time, right now, there's no point in them even existing. So even if they are out there, they would definitely have a vested interest in ensuring that we don't see them just yet, so that we actually do get through this channel and get to eternity. We don't get to eternity, neither do they. And if they don't get to eternity, then they may just let themselves fall victim to the great filter that leads to the Fermi paradox. I know this might sound all over the place and kind of confusing, but we are at that junction right now in our world where we need to get to eternity if life is to have any purpose whatsoever. So those otherworldly beings who may have a disdain for us will try to accelerate the entropy, to accelerate our own downfall. Because the way they see it, either we get through this or we don't. And they don't really care about the pain that they cause us. They're trying to Deadpool-esque force evolution upon us. And it only takes one person to get to that next level to justify all of their actions as far as they're concerned, and also to get everybody there. So they're trying to make God right now in the individual, the one who can manifest their focused intent directly before their very eyes. Say you want to create a gold brick in your hand. Say, I want a gold brick in my hand. Your focused intent literally makes it manifest before your very eyes. I believe there's actually videos online of people having done stuff like that. Like, not special effects, but legitimately having, like, manifested objects before their very eyes. And actually on the camera. I remember watching a video a while back of a guy who was wanting to manifest an apple, and it literally just materialized above his head and fell to the ground. That's the type of thing I'm talking about. And if you can do that, then that is perfect reverse entropy. With perfect reverse entropy, it doesn't matter what time does to you. You can do whatever the hell you want. You are beyond the limitations of that universe. And every human being, every conscious being today, has to be able to do that. So I can understand where they're coming from, but their methodology is rather barbaric, and yeah, it both proves and disproves their point, causing pain upon us. The Christians would call those creatures demons. I don't know. But like I said, surely not all of them share that mentality. However, it is incumbent upon us to filter out properly with stereotypes and cliches and gross generalizations because we don't have time not to. What stereotypes and cliches are meant to do is be a means of pattern recognition to save time so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel with every person that we find. I know there's always nuance and there's always outliers, but generally speaking, those stereotypes and cliches are stereotypes and cliches for a reason. And we don't have the full picture with respect to gray aliens, and they want it that way. I will tell you that the very word secrecy is repugnant in an open and free society, as JFK said. And they keep themselves secret and occluded from us. So we have to see them as nefarious, simply by virtue of that, whether they are or they aren't. And they understand because they are believed by Stephen Greer to have IQs of around 400 on average, which means that they're about 30 times as intelligent as we are. They understand that the methodology is very occluded and variegated, convoluted, and with their levels of intelligence, they can do all sorts of things to make this work, or not. So all we have to do is live within our society as ourselves, as human beings, and try to figure it out from here. And that's what they're relying on. It's what we're relying on, too. We are at that point where either we do figure out how to break free of this world of entropy, or we don't. We'll see what happens. Anyways, that's all I got for you today. I'm trying a little bit something a little bit different today and looking directly at you guys as opposed to the recording. So I know it's a little bit more personal. It might look a little weird, but giving it a try, and the thought flow is a little bit different when you do it that way. Love y'all. Peace.